Hey guys, what's up? You know, one of the things people have issue with lately with the Masters of the Universe Revelation is the fact that you got Teela pretty much front and center. You have basically you have King Grayskull and Andrea, I think that's her name, having the race swapped. You know, it's just a lot of stuff happening with Masters of the Universe Revelation that nobody really likes, and you know, Kevin Smith is trying to debunk, and you know, it brings up a good question. Obviously, is why do studios do this? You know, why do studios, basically change things when they want to reboot, softly reboot, continue, established IPs? Why do they do this? Why do they change things when they don't need to change them? Even with Scooby-Doo, believe it or not, with Scooby-Doo, they've, when it came to direct-to-video movies, they changed it up, a little bit, like with Curse of the 13th Ghost and Return to Zombie Island. They basically pretty much debunked a lot of what was going on there. Like, basically they debunked, or at least try to, through the character of Velma, debunk everything that happened with, reasons. And it's like, really? Did you not see the original that they're based on? And, it really got people mad. And, it's not just that. Now you look at, Velma, the show, the adult animated series coming out there that, is going to give Velma an Eastern Asian, a racial change, if you will, or descendants change. And it's just really, it just really gets on people's nerves. It's like, enough's enough. Enough's enough to them. But, it just seems that Hollywood just keeps going and going and going with this. And Master Universe Revelation is just the latest victim. You take a look at the Masters Universe overall, its franchise, and basically you take a look at, and hold on for a sec while I do something.
Joker is like, no, I don't know if it's a joke.
I have to put that on to distract them. But you take a look at the She-Ra Masters of the Universe, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power series by Lauren Stevenson, and you wonder why they went the route they did with Adora, She-Ra, and Catra. Or why did they do this to what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Hold on, let me check. Let me check on his name. Let me check his name, because it should be the same here. Should be... Is it blue? Let me check. Bo. Yeah, you see what they've done with Bo? They changed his race, if you will. And again, it's... And they just used it for their own agenda, and then, what, like I said, what they did with Catra and, Dora, and now you take a look, like I said, at Masters Universe Revelation being like the latest one to go down this path, and it's like, a lot of people basically are asking, when is enough enough? When is enough enough? When is this trend gonna end? When is this gonna come to an end? And my honest opinion on that is, I think it's gonna come to an end when whoever the head people in charge of the Hollywood Screen Actors Guild, or Directors Guild, or whatever, I think it's going to end once one of those head people, potentially male, representatives come out and acknowledge that, hey, we get you, we understand you, we hear you, and yes, we admit that, women and men are equal, and, this and that, and I think that's when it's going to end. I think that's when it's going to end, when somebody comes out and acknowledges what these SJWs want, what these Karens want, what these cancel culture and woke people want, is acknowledgement of equality, saying that both men and women in all races are equal, and that men and women can do the same things, and nothing can hold them back, and races are just, and it doesn't have your race or your racial ethic, everybody's pretty much created equal. That's all they want. That's all they want. And I think the moment that happens, the moment whoever is the main male representative of Screen Actors Guild, Directors Guild, comes out and makes that announcement and says those things, if you will, that they want to hear, that, SJWs, Karens, woke, the people that are part of that woke culture and the council culture, once they say those things, I almost can guarantee that a lot of these, changings of, racial changes, gender changes, all this emphasis on things that, right now I can understand why they're doing it because of the time we're in. But, I've got a feeling that once that moment happens, this will all cease. This will all stop. And things will probably start going back to the way they're supposed to. And I guarantee you, once that moment happens, people will be like, oh, thank God, thank you, Lord. Now we don't have to deal with this anymore. But until that moment comes, until a male representative, a head honcho representative of the Screen Actors Guild and Directors Guild comes out and acknowledges that, we're going to have to deal with this. We're just going to have to keep dealing with this no matter what. And look, I understand it's frustrating. You look at Masters Universe Revelation, and it's supposed, and everybody associates it with He-Man. You don't have to take an established character like Teela and say, okay, she's going to be the main focus. That's what's frustrating people. That's what's frustrating people. And it's like I said in another video, I think had they come out and said, had Kevin Smith, that has come out and said almost right off the bat that yeah, it is about Teela, and this is why it's about Teela, and this is, how it's going to work with Teela as the main focus, as the main protagonist. If he would have just came out and said that in the first place, I don't think none of this would be going on right now. I don't think anything of negativity wise or stuff like that would be going on. I don't think any of it would be happening. And I think honestly Kevin Smith knows that. I think Kevin Smith realizes that if he wanted to avoid this, which he's still basically trying to defend, he's still trying to defend, if he wanted to avoid this, then guess what? All he had to do was tell the truth. I mean, he basically has once been known to stand up against, Hollywood's treatment of, these kind of properties, and now yet here he is doing exactly what he spoke out against at one point. So I'm Kevin Smith. I look myself in the mirror and be like, what am I? And I ask myself, what am I doing? Everything people are pointing out here, from Clownfish to RK to Geeks and Guts, I think. Hold on for a sec. Geeks and Gamers, everything they've said, from them to Ryan Kinel-RK, OutPost, and Clownfish, and many others. If I'm Kevin Smith and I realize, hey, I want this to stop. I want these people to stop arguing with me and me arguing with them. I look myself in the mirror and go like, I used to be the kind of person that in Hollywood that stood up against Hollywood, stood up against what they were doing, and now I'm becoming them. I'm becoming everything they say I am. So if I'm Kevin Smith, I just basically say, hey, you guys, look, I apologize, and you guys are right, but let me explain why I'm saying it. I mean, basically, if I'm Kevin Smith, I just explain to them why I'm defending it, why I'm saying defending it in the way I am, even though it's evident that everything they've pointed out to me and everything, and even stuff I've said is counteract to what I'm defending. If I'm Kevin Smith, I just come out, I apologize, I explain why I'm defending it this way and why it's going in this direction. That's all I do. And once he probably apologizes and accepts that, and apologizes and comes out and properly explains why he's defending it the way he is and why he had to make it the way he did, I'm pretty sure people will be like, hey, look, we forgive you, but really you could have I mean, there's no doubt people will forgive him, but they'll also point out that, hey, you could have avoided all this if you would have just told the truth the first time. But again, it's frustrating for a lot of people, because it's like, this is something that didn't need to happen. And all Kevin Smith had to do was admit the truth, because he knows better than anybody that this is something that Hollywood, has been doing for a while now, all because of the SJWs, all because of woke, all because of council culture, all because of the Karens, because of the fact that we're now in and because of that, we're now in a time in society to where it's a lot different. It's a lot, it's a lot harder to, try to, resurrect an old property for a proper conclusion, and try to do it the way it used to be known without someone being, butthurt over it, over, maybe something like, oh, well, this says that and stuff. And it's just, we're just in that time right now to where, the only way it's going to end is basically when, essentially, like I said, somebody that's a head representative, male more than likely, of the Screen Actors Guild, of the Directors Guild, and whatever other groups are out there that represent Hollywood from a main, like almost presidential standpoint, or Congress-like standpoint, or whatever. Basically, the Hollywood equivalent of Washington D.C. Once they come out and say, hey, you guys, you know what, you're right, women and men are equal, all races are equal, everybody's capable of doing all these things, there's no barriers, no nothing. I guarantee you, when somebody makes that kind of an announcement, that's when things might start changing for the better. But that's a long ways off. That's obviously a long ways off, and we just have to pray and hope that day comes a lot sooner, or pray and hope that this stuff comes to an end, or somebody speaks, or honestly, somebody speaks up and says, look, we're not going to let you use this IP to get your agenda across. I mean, if I was Kevin Smith and Netflix told me, hey, you got to do this, I would have told them, look, screw you guys, I'll go to Amazon Prime, I'll go to HBO Max, I don't care. I'm not about to let you use the show I want to resurrect. Heck, for the fans, for the generation I grew up in, for your own agenda. That's what I would have done if I was Kevin Smith, but he didn't. He didn't do that. And he probably didn't realize this was going to happen or anything, or he probably realized that, hey, probably his thought process was, hey, it's not going to matter where I go, or I make a deal, or who I make a deal with. It's going to be pretty much the same agenda anyway. It's going to be done the same way anyway. So, I don't know. Maybe he just went with what he thought was probably the lesser. Well, not the better, but the lesser of the two evils, maybe, or the many evils of streaming services, But again, like I said, this is just something that hopefully after this is done, because this is getting a lot of backlash. I mean, a lot of people have said the show might be good. The animation definitely seems to show that the show is going to be good because it's by Powerhouse Animation. But basically, with all the backlash that it's getting, good or not, in the end, I've got a feeling. What? Sorry about that. But like I said, hopefully, somebody will. Like I said, all you have to do is just pray and everything, because like I said, and everybody has said this, everybody's pointed this out, that despite how, good the show might be, especially with the animation made by Powerhouse, showing that it's going to look good, it'll look good, I should say, but, and the story might be good as well, maybe not. But, still, I think a lot of people, and, a lot of people backlash, with the backlash, I should say, that it's getting. So I'm a little distracted, a little caught off guard by that. I do apologize. By being called by my mom there, I do apologize. That's why I'm a little off right now. But like I said, like I was trying to say, I think honestly it's going to be that a lot of the backlash this is getting, whether it's good, whether at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the series is good or not, with the animation, providing, a good, like idea, basically giving us a good, hint at the fact that it might be good. But whether or not it's good or it isn't good, at the end of the day, I've got a feeling that with the backlash it's getting, Netflix may not do this again. They may not be like, well, not just Netflix, but I don't think anybody's going to want to go to Netflix or any studio, for a while, or any streaming service for a while, and be like, hey, we want to sell you, we want to make a deal with you to distribute our show, but we want it done a certain way. We want it done in a way that, is true to the original. It doesn't have no agendas attached to it of what's going on today. We want it just straight up true to the original, true continuation or reboot. And I've got a feeling after all the backlash that the show is getting right now, it's going to be one of those situations. I really do. It's going to be one of those situations to where, I think a lot of studios that want to revive classic IPs are going to be like, yeah, we're not going to make deals with you guys unless you allow us to keep it the way it was and don't use it for your own agendas. Because you can't tell me that somebody doesn't probably want to do a Brave Star reboot or continuation, or somebody wants to do a continuation of this show or that show, without, basically what I'm trying to say is, sorry, my brain's still a little caught off guard there. From being called, that is. But like I said, basically, hopefully, people, and what I'm trying to get at is I don't think, I do apologize. This is what happens when you get caught off guard and all that. But like I said, hopefully, not hopefully, but I've got a feeling that what I'm trying to get at is I got a feeling that people are not going to be very receptive of wanting to, as quickly as they used to be, to want to make deals with all these services, unless, that service allows them to do a continuation, a reboot of a classic IP, but without the agendas thrown in. And that's what I'm trying to get in. Today's agendas of, equality, racial ethics, stuff like that. So, hopefully maybe that the backlash that this is getting right now, even before it debuts on Netflix, hopefully when it's all said and done, maybe that'll wake a lot of people up and make them realize, okay, maybe if we want to get our own agendas across, let's make our own original IPs for it. Let's make our own original IPs and not, use classic ones or established classic ones to do it. Let's create our own original ideas and go from there. Because I guarantee you, if they come out and make announcements that they're going to be creating new original ideas that are going to be based and they're going to tackle, all these agendas today, from like the SJWs, the Karens, the woke, the cancel culture and all that, I guarantee you that'll be more receptive, more positively received than, trying to put all that into an established IP that people want to resurrect and bring back for, a continuation or a proper conclusion or whatever. You know, this is why when I look at something like, you know, Team Season and what they're doing with, you know, the third season of Sat AM, you know, trying to animate that and bring that free to places like YouTube, you know, this is why, you know, they're not in a hurry, if at all, to want to establish themselves or work with someone like a Netflix or an HBO Max or a Paramount or whatever, because they know that it might be an agenda, you know, behind, you know, the deal. Like, oh, well, if you want us to do that, that's fine, but we want this in return, to be showcased, or this character to be featured, or this topic to be discussed, or whatever. That's why I don't think they're in a hurry, because they don't want to deal with that crap. And again, like I said, like I was trying to say before I got called by my mom to answer a question that she had. Basically, I think, you know, after this is all said and done, as I was trying to say earlier, you know, as I was trying to say also as I came back on camera here, you know, I think even after it's all said and done, you know, whether the series is good or not, the animation seems to kind of give us a good sign that it might be. That good or not, this is going to be the catalyst for a lot of creators that want to, you know, maybe, you know, resurrect old classic IPs in the 90s, the 80s, the early 2000s, and even the 70s and 60s, but to do it without any agenda attached to it when they ever try to, you know, whenever they try to potentially make a deal with any possible distributor, like a streaming service like Netflix or HBO Max or Amazon or whoever. So yeah, it's just the question again everybody has is, when is this going to end? And you know, when is this all going to end? And who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But that's all I'm going to say on it, guys. I do apologize for being a little distracted there. Like I said, I got caught off guard when my mom called me to answer a question about something, and I do apologize. It kind of threw me off a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of what happens when you do these kind of videos unscripted. But let me know what your thoughts are. How do you feel about all this? And do you think the backlash that Revelation is getting right now could be the catalyst that potentially, you know, wakes a lot of people up and makes them realize, hey, we can't, you know, make these deals with Netflix or HBO Max or Amazon Prime or Paramount or whoever, Disney Plus. You know, we can't make deals with them unless they allow us to, you know, keep it, you know, as it originally was meant to be, and not be, you know, just a placeholder for them to put for them to have their agendas tackled in. So let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you. And I am out. And again, I do apologize, because I was a little thrown off by my mom calling me to ask a question, because, you know, I was doing good previously, and then I got called. So I do apologize. It kind of threw me off, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. But let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll talk to y'all later.